of today. As introduced by my colleague Arthur, my name is James Chirwa, and I'm the head of Member Services. Member Services is a department that has three functions. Mostly is the core registry services, customer support, and also the revenue functions. I'll give a brief update on some of the progress, some of the achievement over the year, and also for the past few years. So I'll start by talking about the membership progress. Currently for this year, we've made so far 173 new resource members at least, bringing us to a total of over 2,100 members, that is resource members, but also we do have 4 associate members. This is just a trend in terms of the growth in membership over the years. So we've steadily maintained a steady growth in terms of membership, moving over from 1,900 to 2,100 from last year to this year. And we intend to build more based on the current resources that we have. So these resource members do get different kind of benefits from Afrinic. Apart from the IP number resources, they also gain other services in addition to that. Such services include resource public key infrastructure, internet routing registry that are very critical in today's world. These help members secure their routing once they get the resources from Afrinic. Furthermore, so is reverse DNS and DNSSEC. But resource members, as Afrinic is based on a bottom-up approach, resource members also get the right to attend the annual general meeting, but also get a vote to elect board members, but also have the right to vote during any governance-related resolutions that may be taken either on the floor or prior to the AGMM. So moving on from those benefits, I'll drill down now on the resource management part. That's the registry side. We in total have over 121 million IP addresses in IPv4. At present, we only have 1.2% that is available, and we've used we've allocated over 115 IPv4 resources. In 2022 alone, we've issued over 225,000 IP addresses in SACH32, that is IPv4, and we've issued at least 120 IPv6 prefix, that is if we put it at the prefix of SACH32. We've also issued out 190 autonomous system numbers, individual autonomous system numbers to our members this year. So in the present circumstance, we are in what we call the soft landing phase 2 of the IP allocation and assignment policy. The most important element to take from that is that a maximum that we can issue in terms of IPv4 at a single instance is a SACH22. That's according to the prevailing policy. However, members have the, there is the possibility that members, when they have more requirements, they can still come back and request for more. In addition to the allocation and assignment of IP number resources, the other service now that we offer is the reverse DNS. This is the mapping of IP addresses to the host names. For those who are surveyed with DNS, this is where the pointer records or the PTR records come into play. As a best practice, when you are requesting for reverse DNS, we request that you at least provide us 2 name servers, even though if you cannot afford that, a single name server is still accepted. However, as a best practice, we recommend that you have 2 name servers, but also we ensure that the name servers that you're providing us are fully functional, saving the zone files in an authoritative manner. Simply saying they are not detected as being lame. In addition to the DNS, to the reverse DNS, we also offer a DNSSEC. I recall for those who were here yesterday, there were a few, or the past 2 days, there are a few presentations that touched on DNSSEC a lot. So mostly the main reason is to prevent injection of false information into the DNS lookup queries or responses and its data. So this is another service that we offer once you have adopted reverse DNS. You can also further implement DNSSEC. However, over the period, DNSSEC adoption hasn't really been that high, and we are looking into mechanisms on how we can help our members mostly adopt reverse DNS as well as DNSSEC. So we will be looking at coming up with sessions as well as materials that can help our members be able to adopt these services. The other service that we do provide is the Internet Routing Registry, and this also was covered in most of the sessions in the past 2 days. Internet Routing Registry can be accessed through the Afrinic WHOIS web interface, or you can also access it through the MyAfrinic web portal for members. Currently, we do have over 100,000 route objects in our Internet Routing Registry, and over 71% of our members are currently using Afrinic Internet Routing Registry. The other service is the RPKI service. This is another security framework that is implemented to prove the association between specific IP addresses or AS numbers and the legitimate custodian of those internet number resources. In our implementation of this, we have ensured that there is ample security in this particular service, and in such a way that it requires multiple authentication. So once you log into the MyAfrinic platform, you also need to either have 2-factor authentication enabled, or you need to have a BPKI, which is a business public key infrastructure certificate. Currently, we do have just about 24% of the members that have adopted this particular service, RPKI. There is a significant growth that we are observing in the past year or so. And intentionally, our objective is to grow at least by up to 50% of the members by end of 2023, looking at how critical this particular service is becoming nowadays. So currently, we are having what we call route origin authorizations. We have over 8,000 that have been registered by our members who are representing the 24% that I said in the previous slide. So for those who want to now go further than just registering route origin authorization, but they want to do further validation, we also do have validators that we are hosting ourselves, which can be found at those two links. But also we do publish our RPKI repository on that particular site. Another service that I'll just talk about relates to the IP resource transfers. So at Afrinic, we do conduct resource transfers between different entities within the region. So some transfers are based on the policy, and others are based on business needs that we consider in terms of whether there has been a merger or there's been an acquisition, anything within those circles. So policy-based transfers have to comply with policy terms that are stipulated in the Consolidated Policy Manual section 5.7. Currently, the policy itself only permits IPv4 addresses only. And we've observed over time that there hasn't been that much transfers that have been coming through this policy. Over the past 4 years since it came into effect, we've handled about 21 transfers in the aspect of policy. And in the past 2 years, it's only been 5 transfers. So it's really a low number. However, on the other part, we've really seen a growth in terms of the mergers and acquisitions. Mergers acquisition because they are based on business needs. The current guidelines accepts that once we validated such kind of merger or acquisition, all resource transfers, all resource types, IPv4, IPv6, or autonomous system numbers can be transferred between entities within the region. So over the past 2 years, we've seen an increase. For example, for instance, 2021, we had about 15 transfers, which involved over 3 million IP addresses. In 2022, we've so far seen at least 23 transfers involving about over 400,000 IP addresses, IPv4 addresses. Lastly, I'll just touch on the now service support. As you know, we collaborate with members through our support desk. And on this part, these are the statistics that we have had over the past, over this year. This is just a demonstration of the tickets that we have handled per month against also tickets that we have been resolved within the similar month. So overall, we have handled at least 28,000 tickets that have been resolved out of 29,000 tickets that we have received during this year. This brings me to just my last slide on how you can further get support apart from contacting us. We do have further FAQs on the website and other support documentation, as well as the policy manual. In addition, we also do have the some certain training materials in IPv6, WHOIS, as well as RPKI and IR on our training portal, that is the academy.afrinic.net. We do have other ongoing measures that we are trying to improve on, which is review of the website content, as well as working on an automated assistance. Otherwise, for any other queries, you can contact us at hostmaster@afrinic for any resource-related queries, or at support-afrinic.net. Thank you all for your attention. I will now hand you over to my colleagues from value-added service team. Thank you.
Thank you, James. So we invite Mr. Edouard Mukasa from the value-added services department to share his presentation.
Hi, Asa, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I'll ask Wayne to share the presentation and then I move on. Hi, everyone. My name is Edward. I'm a software engineer from the Value Added Service. So I'll be here to give you an update of what we are working on alongside my colleague, Aaron Majambo. So let's move on to the slides. Okay, so for the first part of the slides, I'll invite my colleague, Aaron Majambo, to take you through, and then I'll come back for the second bit of the presentation for the value-added services on what we are filing. So may I invite Aaron to take you in the first part of the presentation, and then I'll come back in the second part of it. Aaron. Aaron, you have the floor. You are muted. You may have to unmute yourself, please.
So, all right, thank you, Edward. So I'm going to present an update in the Value Added Service department. My name is Aaron Majambo. I'm a software engineer in the Value Added Service department at Afrinic. The update that I'm going to talk about are mainly for RDAP services. So during the course of this year, we've been able to implement RDAP conformance, which are changes that were made to the registration data access services protocol as part of the ongoing effort to ensure enroll RDAP profile. So we have been able to implement the bulk of the corrections that were required for us to implement. We have currently received a report from EPNIC. So they have developed an awesome tool that validates RDAP conformance across areas. So they gave us the report that they got from the work they did on Afrinic RDAP service. So the feedback that we got from them has been worked on, and we have implemented the improvement, and we are going soon to go live. So I'll ask Wayne to move to the next slide. So part of the ongoing service improvement and new features on RDAP, we have also implemented GS Contact, which is a JSON representation of card information data. So the bulk of the work have been implemented. So now we have the possibility to get a GS card instead of vCard format. That was the traditional way of querying RDAP data for contact information. And in progress, we are preparing a plan which includes a communication and a gradual rollout of the service. This is one of the service improvement that we had planned to work on this year that has come to completion. The next service that we have implemented, we are still implementing, and that is going to be rolled out, is also the federated authentication. What we intend to do this time is to allow the federation or the federated authentication using OAuth 2 and OpenID Connect. So you know that RDAP service, there are concerns of security on RDAP services, and federated authentication is coming to address this issue and pave the way to the extension of querying data with some access credentials. So I'm inviting Wayne to move on to the next slide. So the federated authentication that we are implementing is based on an open source identity and access management system named Qclock. So we are leveraging the power of this open source project in order to be able to offer security to RDAP services and WHOIS as well. And this is going to pave the way to the blocker that we had to implement additional RDAP services that require authentication and authorization, such as RDAP partial search and other reduction mechanism that we want to put into place. So these are the services that we have been working on RDAP, and that we are rolling out progressively till the end of this year. So I will invite my colleague Edward to tell you about the next services that have been implemented in our department. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Ellen, for that wonderful presentation. Now, I'll pick up from here. As my colleague James mentioned earlier on in the presentation at the beginning, that one of the core services that Afrinic offers to our members is RPKI. So as the value-added service, we continually make sure that we improve these services. And one of them that we're focusing on is the RPKI, to make sure that we can include, we can add value to these services. So beginning of this year, we looked at RPKI, and there's some improvements that we set up to work on to make sure that we can improve this and, for example, improve the customer experience to our members, to make sure that we can offer more value. And one of the things that we looked at in regards to this service is to make sure that we add an API to enable our members who need to automate the RPKI service, integrate them with the application via the API. That is to perform different RPKI operations, like things creating ROAs and, for example, renewing them and revoking them via an API. So one of the things that we set out to do was to implement the API to make sure that members can carry out such operations. And the other things that we looked at in regards to this service was to make sure that we add some new enhancements that some members pointed out that we should include within these services. For example, things like auto renewal of rowers. Some members who felt that maybe we should add this to those ones who need it. And there are things like that we are not offering. For example, other members wanted us to include, to offer an option for things like the delegated mode, because right now we are filing the hosted mode, whereby we are Afrinic is hosting all the signed object for all the members, but as members who would prefer to host these signed objects, and others who wanted that we also offer the hybrid mode, whereby they can manage their signed object from their side, but publish maybe in other repositories like Afrinic's repository. Then the other things that we set out to do was the GUI to give a facelift of our API, that to make it more user-friendly to our members. So these are the main three things that we set out to do in regards to the RPKI service. Let's move on to the next slide. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Okay, so in regards to the changes that we, or the upgrades that we are making to, or the service that we are adding to this service, like I've mentioned that one of the things that we are working on is the GUI. So in regards to the GUI, what we are looking at was to give it a facelift for the when you go to our portal. Usually members in our hosted mode that we are finding right now, anyone who needs to perform the certification operation, they have to go to our portal, and there are things that we offer an interface where they can activate their engine, create rowers, and maybe even revoke rowers. So we are looking at making it more user-friendly, and then we are totally changing the user interface to make it much more user-friendly, in hope that it will also attract more members to make sure that they come and adopt certification. So this is in progress. We have done most of the stuff, and we hope that it will be released alongside MyAfrinic V2. So most of the things have been done. So when we are releasing MyAfrinic V2, you'll notice that all this would have changed. So we'll get this new user interface, which is more user-friendly than the current version that we have. And also within this new GUI, we'll have more features that we have added that will enable you to use the new enhancements. For example, like we have new workflows, like for delegated mode, if someone needs to use delegated mode. So we have an interface with a workflow that can enable a member to go through the process of specifying and then handling the delegated mode application, and then all the way through when it's approved, and start performing different operations that we have added there. Can we move to the next one? Okay, so I think I'll invite my colleague to carry on from here. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Edouard. We call now Mrs. Madhvi Gokul from the Policy Development Department to share her update. Madhvi, you have the floor now.
Thank you, Arthur. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen from our resource members. I am Madhvi Gokul. I work as one of my duties is the policy liaison for AFRINIC. So I'll walk you through the AFRINIC policy development in the next slides. So what are the resource policies? Resource policies are the guidelines and rules that enable AFRINIC to manage and distribute the pool of IP number resources to the network operators in its service region. It is the resource policies are also developed using a bottom-up policy development process. So what is the policy development process about? It is, like I said, it's bottom-up. So usually we would have someone, an individual or a group of individuals from the AFRINIC community who will identify a problem statement and propose a policy based on that problem statement. What happens next is that there's a discussion about these proposals on mailing list and also during AFRINIC public policy meetings. Who participates in those discussions? It is the Policy Development Working Group, who we also call AFRINIC community, okay? And who is the AFRINIC community? It's actually any individual who is interested in how AFRINIC manages its IP resource pool. So after the discussion, we have some timelines that have to be adhered to. Then there comes the time when there are two co-chairs who are chosen by the community, who they will assess whether there has been consensus on that policy by going through the discussions on the group and also during the public policy meeting. All right. And if there is consensus, then the chairs will send a report to ratify the policy to the AFRINIC Board of Directors. And once the AFRINIC Board of Directors ratify the policy, that policy proposal is sent to AFRINIC staff for implementation. Now, the consensus determination, all right, there's a poll around that. What do you think is consensus? All right, Wayne, do you mind to please run the poll? Okay, 1 minute, please fill the poll. So the question is, do you think that consensus is determined through a voting mechanism? Okay, thank you. And the poll, please. So the correct answer here is no, consensus is not determined through a voting mechanism. So why? Sorry, I need to. Please remove the poll from the screen. All right, so the consensus determination, all right. In fact, the policy development working group chairs, they determine whether there's rough consensus among the community during the open public policy discussions, right? The consensus determination is in fact a process. The objective is to always aim for rough consensus, if not consensus, and it is not built or determined through a voting mechanism. Why? The chairs usually would look for to ensure that all objections and concerns are adequately addressed, and they look or seek consensus throughout the process, in fact, for each contentious issue. There's no voting mechanism that is applied at any point in time. And just for clarification, 100 people may be for a proposal and only 5 are against the proposal, and that might not be rough consensus, meaning that if a minority of participants have a valid objection, that objection must be dealt with before rough consensus can be declared. On the other hand, if we have 5 people for and 100 people against, there might still be rough consensus as long as there are no valid objections that have not been addressed. So the process now, so the policy development process, which brings around resource policies at AFRINIC, this started since 2005, okay? And we had policies that reached consensus at that time. And there has been an evolution in the policies over the years, okay? At the moment, and until the last public policy meeting that we had in June this year, we have had an active policy development environment at AFRINIC. And sometimes we had even around 10 policies under discussion. So there is the consultations and discussions that happen around these policies. All of these happen on a mailing list, which we call the rpd@afrinic.net. It is open to the AFRINIC community, which you as an individual or as a registered contact of your organization are part of. All the discussions are also publicly archived, and we also publish the minutes of the public policy meetings on the AFRINIC website. Wayne, please run the poll. So question to you, are you subscribed to the resource policy discussion mailing list, rpd@afrinic.net? All right. So those of you who are not subscribed to the resource policy development mailing list, we encourage you to subscribe, and you'll know the reason why as we move through the slides. So if you want to participate in the resource policy discussions, if you want to have a say, because at the end, the policies would apply to your organization because you are a resource member, you are the ones who are actually using the resources. So how you can participate is by subscribing to the list, and then you can go through the policy proposals. They are published on the AFRINIC website, and then you follow the following guidelines to comment and discuss these proposals on the mailing list, all right? So you need to mention the identifier of the proposal or the title in the subject of your emails to the list, and use the following guidelines. Are the problem statement and solution clear to you? Does the proposal solve a problem that you're experiencing? If yes, you can reach out to the community and share your situation. Are you in support of the proposal? If yes, why? Do you oppose it? If yes, you need to clearly state the objective reasons as to why you oppose. And then if the proposal can be enhanced by either removing ambiguous text or reinforcing the solutions, please feel free to comment on that as well. The authors would watch for the discussions and may amend their proposal, okay, to include some of the contributions of the community. So all the policies that are implemented by AFRINIC are documented in what we call the Consolidated Policy Manual. It is more like, it's like a booklet and contains all the policies and usually broken down into sections related to IPv4, IPv6, AS numbers, as well as transfers and also the other policies that have been proposed and implemented at AFRINIC. Any change to an implemented policy, meaning any change to what's written in that Consolidated Policy Manual, needs to go through the policy development process. And upon implementation, resource policies you will apply to organizations, operating networks that are already resource members, so all of you participating in the session here, as well as organizations that are planning to get public IP resources to connect their users or customers to the internet. So these are what we call the potential members of AFRINIC. Please run the poll. So question to you, have you read the Consolidated Policy Manual? 1 minute to answer. So we have 29 participants who participated in this poll. And out of the 29, 21 participants did not or have not read the Consolidated Policy Manual. it's fortunate that AFRINIC implements or tries to implement the policies on its systems. But for those members who have come and requested for resources from AFRINIC, the AFRINIC hostmasters usually would seek compliance. So if you have filled, for example, you have provided your IP addressing plan, okay, that is a requirement, a justification requirement that is in the policy. So we prompted you to fill in those questions, to answer those questions, so that then the hostmasters are able to evaluate the resource request and seek policy compliance. But we encourage you to actually go read through the consolidated policy manual. It will clarify some of the questions that you may have as to why you are being asked this question, or why do you have to provide this or that justification, okay? And if you don't know where it is, you please let us know. It's actually on the website. So if resource members, okay, do not participate in the resource policy development at AFRINIC, what have they likely missed? All right, let's look at some statistics which I have prepared at the end of the third quarter. We have over 1,200 of subscribers to the mailing list, and out of that, less than 100 of those subscribers are actually staff of our resource members, okay? And since 2005, the number of unique participants or posters on the RPD list has been 260, okay? And with less than 10 participants or posters with more than 50 posts per year, and these have been for the past 4 years. So what have you as resource members, if you were not on the RPD mailing list and you did not attend a public policy meeting, all right? What you may have missed out is on the opportunity to contribute to the development of the resource policies that actually apply to your organization when you use them. And the resources are used by any resource member, right? You may be a corporate organization, and you use them on your internal network. You may use them to provide services to your customers, etc. Okay, the policies can be amended to fix a particular problem. The policy development process is in fact a bottom-up. It's not AFRINIC staff who will propose policies. Instead, someone from the community, someone from the operator, someone working for a resource member, they can propose the policy to amend a particular section of the CPM through this bottom-up principle, okay? And other operators facing the same problem can also join the discussion and contribute to refine the problem statement and solution. Who knows, maybe consensus can be reached. And if consensus is reached and the board ratifies the proposal then gets sent to the staff for implementation. Okay? So policies are implemented and all the members have to comply. Non-compliance with resource policies is also considered as a breach of the registration service agreement. Okay. And also, by not knowing about the policies, okay, members may fail to properly manage their resources and become ineligible for additional resource requests, leading to delays in getting the resources while they have customers waiting on that side to be connected. Okay? Not knowing, not participating in the resource policy discussions also lead to our members, okay, only learning about the policies that are applicable at the time of submitting the resource request. They may not understand some of the error messages when they use the Mafronic member portal, for example, when managing their resources. Okay, they may not understand the non-compliance email notifications that are addressed to them from our systems or from the hostmaster team. So through the policy development process, we have currently, this table shows the policies that have reached consensus and where they are at the moment. So we have one policy that has been ratified by the board, the RPKI ROAS for unallocated and assigned Afrinic address space, which is currently under implementation. And we have 3 other policies. There's one policy about inter-ORIA resource transfers, another one about the abuse contact policy update, and the policy compliance dashboard that reached consensus and are now awaiting ratification by the Afrinic board. Can we have the poll, please? Okay, so these 4 policies, how many of you have read these policies that are being shown on your screen? All right, so we have 16 participants who have answered this poll. And what we can see here is that 12 out of the 16 participants read the transfer policy, the inter-ORIA transfer policy. 9 of them read the RPKI ROA policy. 6 of them read the abuse contact policy update, and 7 of them read the policy compliance dashboard. Now, we would encourage the resource members present here to actually read these policies. They are available on the website. Reason why they have to read it is because once implemented, if ratified by the board, once it's implemented by Afrinic, then they will apply to you. So you need to know what's in there so that at least you can start getting ready to comply with the policies, because once they're implemented, then Afrinic will reach out to you and say, if you're not compliant, well, dear member, you're not compliant with this policy, so please take actions to start compliance. And perhaps, sometimes the policies will have a period within which compliance needs to be sought. So that's when you will start hearing from Afrinic. So then by going through it, at least you can start getting yourself ready until such time that Afrinic has implemented the policies. All right, so where do we go from here? All right. So what's the way forward? Please put up the poll. Okay. wait, please put up the poll. Je crois qu'il y a un problème. All right, we have an issue with the poll, so I will stop sharing my screen. And so we would like to hear from you in the chat in regard to what can we do to facilitate your engagement in the resource policies, okay? Would you like regular policy proposal briefs on the website? Would you like informational webinars about the policy development process? Would you like informational webinars about the active resource policy proposals? Okay. Or would you like to receive an informational email to your email address? Or what are the other avenues that you feel that AFRONEC should use to reach out to you so that you are able to engage more in the resource policies? So on this, I would like to end my presentation, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Madeleine, for this insightful presentation. So we move now to Mr. Michel Oudou,